Wednesday, May 12th, meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and some of the attendees are participating by video conference. I think everybody actually. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Anything you decide to screen share on your computer or anything you broadcast will be captured and recorded. This is Tim Wheeler, Chairman of the Community Preservation Act Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons are present and can hear me prior to me calling the meeting to order. So we'll do a roll call of who's here. Julie?
Here.
And Carolyn?
Here.
And Jim?
Here.
James, what keeps happening to your screen?
We have a...
I don't know what you're doing.
You keep going away.
Oh, it's my ADD checking text. That's all.
Stop it.
I can still hear you guys though.
That's good. So with the quorum of the committee present, I will call the meeting to order at 7:38. This open meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Specific information and guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public can be found on the Town of Berlin website. The governor's order suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings held at a publicly accessible physical location and allows and encourages us to participate remotely. For this meeting, the Community Preservation Act Committee is using the Zoom platform as posted on the agenda, which includes links for the public to join this meeting. Please speak clearly so accurate minutes are recorded. Each vote in the meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Thank you very much. And
it's supposed to be taking minutes. Get on the ball.
So our hearing is posted for 6 minutes from now. So we'll open the hearing in a few minutes. What do we have? Today, Chris, Keith, Margaret, and I, is that it? Yeah. We participated with a Zoom meeting with the, in regard to the Assabet Regional Housing Collaborative. And so as I think I've said before, Berlin's been accepted now as a member. We start being a member in July. And they talked to us about one of the initiatives they've worked with some other towns, although no one's doing too much with it right now, but that's housing assistance where they're using CPA money and they're helping people with first-time home buyers with their down payment. And they're also, in some cases, helping with some rental assistance. So this group would help point us in the right direction so the housing partnership could work with them on some of that, using some of their CPA money. So that was a good meeting. And they actually said, in the long run, we might be better off in Berlin if we create a housing trust, because most of the towns in the consortium have one, and a trust can actually acquire and spend, and they can spend money so they can buy a property, sell a property, that sort of thing. So where we always have run the risk of losing an affordable unit because the owner can't find a qualified buyer, and it goes back into a marketable unit rather than an affordable unit. And we lose some of our edge in terms of our 10%. If we could buy a property and hold it and flip it at a later date to someone who could meet the qualifications, it'd be kind of neat.
So who sets it?
Did they talk about repairs at all? Whether we could help with a repair or something from somebody in town?
We didn't talk about that, but I think you looked at that, some of the projects that have been worked on in other communities, and that was one of the things that sometimes they've helped with. So, some rehab work. So
Yeah, or a grant or whatever how they would call it, or a low interest loan or a no interest loan or something like that.
She said that what they had done with first-time home buyers was actually they could set it up as a loan, but then you end up in a situation where you've got to keep track of what you've loaned and when it's going to be paid back, and all that sort of stuff. Instead, some of the towns that did it just outright gave a grant, and then after X number of years just said it's forgiven, that sort of thing. So
I think I like that better than trying to track the accounting and
it's a
everything
lot
else.
cleaner. Yeah.
Yep. And if you put a time limit, they have to stay in town for so long or whatever, it encourages or decreases the people moving around a lot, and encourages commitment to the community.
Yep.
So who sets up the trust? Does the town set up the trust, or is it like a friends of?
Well, that's a good question. Is it a private entity? I imagine it's a quasi. I think it's town, but.
So if the town were to set up the trust, how is that different from the town owning? You know what I mean?
There's got to be some. It's got to be detached somehow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because they act pretty independently. Linda Galoni was talking about Hudson's Housing Trust, and they really have the ability to react quickly without town meeting and all that sort of stuff. So it must be a 501c3 of some sort, huh?
Who selects the candidate? Is that the housing trust does? We do? The town does?
Say that again.
If we had multiple applicants,
who
would make the final decision on it?
Well, I would think that the housing trust would have to worry about that, which is the benefit of having the trust as opposed to.
I think I'd like that. Then there's no, I don't want to say, I don't know if I'm the right word, but no nepotism or anything. Like, we can't be blamed if somebody doesn't get it in town if the housing trust is doing it.
But when you think about, they'll have a $50,000 starting point on an annual basis going forward. When you think about the number of units in town that probably move on an annual basis that are affordable, that you could, for first-time home buyers, you probably could jump in quite a few cases.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's not a ton of. I would think maybe one in Berlin, unless it's like a new development. But the turnover of those units are not huge. There's not a lot.
Right.
So it would be a pretty healthy grant we could give if somebody was well qualified credit-wise or whatever.
Do you want to be on a trust, James?
We'll see.
You'd be perfect. You'd be perfect.
Yeah. So actually, there's the couple that bought Fran Gill's house.
Yeah.
Her name is Lauren, and I have now met her through her interest in the wetlands bylaw. She works for Riverbridge. And I think it's like managing their affordable units.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a good candidate. Right
Yeah. And I said to her, I said, oh, we really could use some help on the housing partnership, and am not done encouraging her to do that. I think she would be perfect. Yeah. She's young, she's smart, she already works kind of in that industry, so the learning curve is a lot less. And she's interested in getting involved in stuff.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call the hearing to order at 7:47. And let me find the articles.
Just getting my water. I'm in my bedroom, guys. I'm hot. This is a very awkward spot. But it's quiet because there's just a lot going on out there.
With 4 kids, I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's so awkward on the bed. I don't know. So,
All right, so.
Actually, I can move this way. I don't know where I'm gonna move to. Now we're like on a roller coaster. I know, right? I gotta put my water down. Oh my gosh.
So we're going to be Article 4 in regard to fiscal 21 to see if the town will vote to transfer reserve from the Community Preservation Fund annual revenues in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Act Committee for community preservation projects and other expenses in fiscal year 2021, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation.
Article 4. Okay.
For historic resources, $48,793.30, and the same amount for community housing and for open space. And then the Finance Committee recommends $146,379.90 from Community Preservation Fund revenue for the required fiscal year 21 Community Preservation Act reserves, and they voted for that unanimously. So for fiscal 21, all we're required to do is take the 10% from the General Preservation Fund and put it into each of the reserve specific funds. So that's that one. Does anyone on the committee have anything they want to contribute in regard to that?
So isn't FY21 the year that we've got our first state match?
The state match came in that year, yes.
So, but those numbers, 146,000.
That's all we're taking out for those 3 accounts, the 10%. 10% means there's $480,000 in the account from fiscal 21.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I was taking the 146,000 plus the 48 plus 48 plus 48. And I'm like, that's not enough money, but yeah, no, I see.
So the 146 is just the 3 items added together. And that's all we're moving out of the Community Preservation Fund for that year.
Okay. Made me nervous there for a second.
Because there was no committee, and that's all we can move.
Right.
Essentially, June already did that, but we make it official through this action.
Right.
Okay.
We don't have any public participating, right? It's just the 4 of us?
We do not. It's just the 4 of us.
So does anyone in the committee have anything else to add? All right. So then Article 17, to see if the town will vote to appropriate or transfer reserve from the Community Preservation Fund annual revenues in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Act Committee for community administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in fiscal year 2022, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. So from fiscal 2022 estimated revenues for committee administrative expenses, $24,233.35. And from fiscal year 2022 estimated revenues for budgeted reserve, $315,033.55. And then for each of the specific historic community housing and open space reserve funds, $48,466.70. And the Finance Committee recommends that $339,266 of the estimated revenues for fiscal year 2020 appropriations and $145,400.10 be transferred. So that was good. So in this case, June anticipates what our revenue will be in fiscal 22. So she took what she's seen in 21, what we got from the state as a result of 20, but got in 21. And then built out from there and came up with these numbers. So these are estimates, whereas in regard to the fiscal 21, those are real numbers based on what actually transpired.
Okay.
Although actually, I mean, the revenue from the second tax bill from 21 is just being completed. So those are estimates to some degree too, really. And when we talked to Stuart about that, he said, you know, you sort of lowball. In Hudson, they only take revenue that they already have, and that's actual. They don't estimate. They've sort of delayed a year as they've gotten into the process. And so, you know, we may very well decide that that's something that we'd be willing to do as well.
Yeah,
but
I think
I guess it would
especially
depend
once
on how, would it depend on how fast we need the money on certain projects or not?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, if
we had a project that needs, you know, had a timeline on it, say a land purchase or something, then we might not have the luxury of that delay.
Right. But if you could get into that cycle, it makes the figures firmer, and I think June in the long run would be happier. She wouldn't have to be estimating.
Yep. Yeah, it would be great to get to that point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the biggest thing, and James and I talk about this occasionally, is the Laura property, which so corner of Lyman and Linden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old boys' school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a key piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it's going to be when they had quasi accepted a number, what, 2 years ago now, James? Or well, probably about a year and a half ago. Yeah. It was like 1.1.
Right.
And then when we tried to push them on that to like really solidify that number, COVID hit, everything went crazy. Everybody started talking about land price, you know, about real estate prices going crazy out here. And they said, well, maybe the land's worth more than we thought it was. And they haven't really, we've tried to communicate with them since, and they are minimally responsive, if at all.
I think they want to more talk when the town has the ability to buy, rather than do what ifs and maybes and everything else. So once the town has the available funds from somewhere, whether it be from an outside organization like SVT or through grants or through a town vote, I think at that point they would be more willing to get into solid numbers. But that's my guess.
So that's a little chicken and egg thing.
Personally.
You know, we don't know that we have the money until we know how much they want.
Right.
And they won't talk to us until we have the money.
Yeah.
But we don't know how much they want, so we don't know if we have the money.
Well, if you had $1 million, then you could begin to work with Sudbury Valley and think about flipping a couple lots off of the parcel and be there, right? So
Yeah.
We'd be close enough at that point to
Yeah.
figure it out.
and
Right.
what do you got in your kitty now? 350?
That's probably, so we've got 3 years of 50. No, so our CPA kitty
No.
or
No,
conservation.
conservation.
We have just shy of that. It's like 290, I think. And then the Solomon Pond money finally came in.
Oh, it did.
That's
Okay.
a couple weeks ago, month ago. So that's another 50,000.
So you're close to 350.
Yeah. Yep.
And you've got 100 now from what we just did. Well, not quite 90, but
right.
So that puts you at 450.
Yep.
Wow.
And if Sudbury Valley would step up, you could easily assure them that you could come up with another 500.
Right. Well, when we went to the select board right before COVID hit, there was enough money. Margaret and the select board was thinking there was enough money in free cash to kind of make up the difference. So yes, I do believe that it's doable. I do believe that it's, that we can cobble the money together. We just need to know how much we need to cobble together.
And you're eligible for any grants from the state?
So there's 2 that we're looking at. One is a land grant, like we got for our Oberg, for the Oberg piece.
Right.
Another one that we have found out that piece of property will probably qualify for, though, is an MVP grant.
Oh, yeah.
Which I hear they're more generous with. So that would be great.
In regard to a match or in regard to competitiveness?
Both. Yeah, that if we got an MVP grant, we would probably get more money than we would with a land grant.
Huh. So if we've reserved some of these funds to be picked away at in the fall at a town meeting, we'll get our application process squared away. We'll move forward with that and have people in a position where they could begin to possibly apply for some access to some of these funds for a fall town meeting if we're going to have one.
Right. And we talked about that we would do a cutoff date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, in regard to the hearing, any other comments on article, whatever it was, 17 or 21? All set?
Sounds good.
All right. Do we have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
We'll do a roll call on this. Julie?
Yes, I do.
James?
Yep.
Carolyn?
Aye.
Tim, yes. So that's unanimous. So we've closed the hearing. Thanks to the public for their participation.
Oh, do we want to vote on the minutes from the last meeting?
Sure. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from what date?
February 18th.
Well, we
I know.
were younger then, weren't we? February 18th. Julie, you look so relaxed.
I know, I'm gonna fall asleep up here. It's so awkward. I can say I have yet to have a Zoom call.
Okay, so we've had a motion to accept the minutes and we had a second, and now we'll do a roll call on that. Julie?
Yes.
And James?
Yep.
Carolyn?
Yep.
Tim, yes, that's unanimous. We've taken care of that. If you have, now that you've got a new committee, Julie, have you shared with them the plan?
No, I haven't touched CPA at all.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, actually, we meet again at the end of May.
Good.
And this is essentially our second meeting. So I wanted to do CPA because I think it's so important for them to know about. I think maybe, I don't know if I'm the best person to deliver it, Tim. So maybe
Yes, you will.
not that I didn't know if you wanted to be invited to our meeting.
Sure, invite me.
All right. And then you could, meet the members anyways.
And we could give them a thumbnail on what it's all about.
Yeah.
Because I would think, let's talk about, so if in June we were to have a meeting of the committee to go through the plan one more time, I suppose it would be valuable if everybody in their associated committees that they're sort of representing had a chance to talk about it before we did, just to see if there was any more input, and particularly with you guys, because it's such a new committee, they might very well look at what we've put into text and say, why don't we add this or that? So it'd be a good opportunity.
All right.
I hope to go through it one more time, and so send around a new draft with some of the thoughts that we've had over the last little bit. But then you could take it to committees, and then if we wanted to set a date tonight for another meeting in June, we could review it at that point. And then I would think maybe in July we'd hold the public hearing, and because we've got to do that before we can accept the plan.
Okay.
And then we could accept the plan, and that would give us August and September to roll it out, give people some deadlines. They could give us some preliminary proposals, and we could review those, give them some advice, get some final proposals as we get close to the fall. And then if there was an annual town meeting, those articles could go on the warrant. Hey, look at that. MJ.
Oh, there's MJ.
Does that make sense as a timeline?
Yes.
Yeah. So we should probably float a date that we would be looking for proposals on, and maybe start letting people know that, that's coming. Just to, I don't know that, like, all right, so let's go backwards a little. Fall town meeting is usually October. So if we wanted to be able to vet projects and recommend for an October town meeting, we would probably want to have them sometime early September at the very latest. I guess depends on how many things really come in. So then our cutoff date, let's say, is the end of August. So, I think we need to let people know some amount of time to be able to put together something, a request.
So if MJ, what we've held the hearing and we've closed that, but we're talking about the plan and how to move it forward to the point where we can finalize it, have a public hearing in July, and vote on it, so it's a completed process, and then folks would be able to utilize what's outlined in the plan as their template for how to proceed to apply for some of the funds. And so what Carolyn's saying is we'd want to give them some reasonable amount of time before the deadline.
Yeah.
So I would think that, we've got to hold a public forum to review the plan. So I'll check and see if the forum is basically if that's the hearing, in essence, then we'd hold that. If we held that in early July, that would put us in a position where we could act on it even that evening, probably. And then say to folks, here it is, you've had a chance. I mean, the committees that we're talking about would get a chance to review it, like Julie's going to review it with Rec at the end of May, and I imagine Conservation will talk about it again, and James can hit the ground running with Eloise. And who else is in Housing Partnership now anyway? I guess Linda's back? Linda
I don't know, not on the Housing Partnership Committee.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you've helped coordinate with them. So I think
I talked to Eloise only.
Yeah,
I think at this point she was just really the only one, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Linda Nelson's still on. She just got back from Arizona. So, but if everybody has a chance to check in with their committees, that would put us in a position where if we met in June toward the middle part of it, we could go through it one more time, finalize it, get ready for a public forum, which we'd have to publish in the newspaper for sometime in July, earlier rather than later. And then that gives people, if we will put a deadline like, first part of September, that would give them 8 weeks from the time we finalized the process to the time they had to have a proposal finalized.
I think that's more than enough, 8 weeks.
We could also say that we were going to meet in August, and if they had preliminary thoughts about what they wanted to propose or wanted some guidance, that we could meet with them in August to help them flesh out what they were trying to accomplish.
That's a good idea. And whether it's eligible, I mean, if we can tell right away that it's like a sidewalk or something we know is not eligible. So
yeah,
we could say, don't waste your time.
And then if we got questions, like you've said, we could get in touch with Stuart and say, help Stuart.
Yeah. Right.
I think there'll be a lot of that, of what qualifies and what doesn't.
The nice thing is there's so many projects that we can look at that, and we can suggest to people to look at that are on their website,
Yeah, it's very exciting.
But what is the application process going to be like?
So guidelines for submission. If you've got a copy of the plan,
yes,
our draft, and in that we've got guidelines for submission. An approved pre-application form must be received prior to submittal. So, we've got to clean our act up on this, but each request must be submitted to the committee using the application for community preservation funding form as a cover sheet, include additional pages as necessary. The application, excluding supporting materials, should not exceed 6 pages. Application should be submitted in one unbound original and 9 copies. I don't know if we need that many, but requests must include a statement of need documented with appropriate supporting information as maps, plans, visual aids, and other supplemental information. Each application must include a very brief summary of the project stating the funding category, project goals, key steps.
Right.
Applicants must provide an accurate, detailed estimate of project costs. The request as part of a multi-year project application should include total. Proposed CPA projects shall demonstrate public benefit. Applications for historic preservation projects must include a copy of Addendum 2 supplemental information for historic preservation projects. We have to look and see what the hell that means. Letters of support are welcome from the public. Community Preservation Act Committee will identify for the applicant which town boards or commissions need to review and make recommendations. Applications must be postmarked or delivered, and then we include the date. Project eligibility is determined by the committee. Applicants with eligible projects must attend a Community Preservation Act Committee meeting to present and discuss their proposal. Please keep in mind these are legal limitations. There are legal limitations on the use of CPA funds. Projects will be evaluated and prioritized using the criteria attached to the application form. Committee will review all applications. Town meeting, each project must be approved at town meeting. The town meeting can approve, reduce, or reject. Project funds for approved projects will be available by, and in this case, you know, we'd have to specify a date. Normally it'd be July 1st. Invoices for work completed or funds allocated to grantees or on approved projects should be submitted to the Community Preservation Act Committee. So that's what we've got in there now. We can, you know, we need to take a harder look at that and make sure that, you know, I can review that with June and make sure that she's happy with some of that language too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might want to remove requiring paper copies beyond the main submission, because we're still not even meeting it in person potentially. No, I think we can probably have whatever copies we need on, you know, on the Google Docs.
Yep.
I think it might be bad for you know, for conservation if we're having people give us 60 additional sheets.
Right. We do need to be mindful though that not everybody is digitally adept.
Yeah.
And if they have, you know, I'm just thinking of different kinds of projects that people might be coming forth, you know, might be looking for money for. And, you know, if it's somebody who's trying to do something a little bit more on their own, they may not have the ability to submit digitally.
I think the main thing could be a paper submission. I think we could probably work out amongst ourselves getting, you know, I think Jim said there was 6 pages that it was limited to. So I think between us, someone could probably, you know, scan in.
Scan it,
Yes.
Yep.
Not to create work for ourselves, but
right. Yep.
I agree.
And not to encourage extra paper either.
Yeah.
But just be flexible about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I like MJ's idea. I like one paper and then somehow we'll scan it. And I'd rather have it in an email than get a paper one. I'll lose it or something.
Yeah, and what we can do is we can make a requirement that they're electronically submitted. I mean, that's what conservation's doing now, planning board's doing now. So
yeah,
generally people can do that. And like you say, MJ, if there's a hardship, we can always figure out a strategy to get a paper copy.
Well, so long as our wording is flexible, we can, you know, figure out as we go along whether, you know, we can ask for electronic, and if everyone does that, great. If they don't, we can work around it. But
so I've just
important to have the language flexible, lest you run into a situation where you're being flexible but legally, you know, getting into a gray area.
Yeah, so I've added that language now. So if you get a chance to review the draft that we floated around last time and share it with your committees again, that would be helpful. And then what's good for people in June for a meeting?
Let's see.
My
calendar.
Then my later June.
Later June's better for you?
No, opposite.
Oh, early June?
Right.
Better for me.
So I could do June 1st or June 15th. They're 15th. Both Tuesdays.
15th.
Tuesdays are great.
Yeah.
The 15th.
Where just, you know, work makes.
Oh,
Julie, when's your mother coming?
I know. I don't know. I think it's around then. 12. No.
So is the first good for you, Julie?
Well, what time would the meeting be?
What time can you be there?
So there's a baseball. One of my boys has a baseball game, and they just go on for just
hours.
Forever. I'm like, is this over? So it starts at 5. So.
Oh, so you want to do 8?
So 8 I could do.
Yeah, 8 good for other people?
Yeah.
Sure.
First 8 o'clock.
The kids in bed by then, James?
The wife will handle that. I'll take the night off. So that works for me.
All right.
And Tuesday's best for you, right, MJ?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So the first, let's set it for that. I'll get a Zoom set up for that, and we'll get it posted. But that would be good because that's not too far away, but it gives folks a chance to touch base with their committees, and then that gives us plenty of time to look at a meeting for a public forum. I mean, summer's awkward because a lot of people begin to disappear, but
Right.
Yes.
My sense is that the public is more likely to want to participate in the discussions of how the money is expended rather than the process.
I think you're 100% right.
I don't think we're going to, just like we didn't have a lot of participation tonight, I don't think there's going to be a tremendous amount in terms of the plan other than through the committees. So, you know, and that's where having representation from you guys makes all the difference. So.
Right.
Any other business?
So let me just ask this, time-wise, it's achievable for something to be submitted to us. I know it depends on the scope of the project, but something to be submitted to the committee and then to be reviewed. And then if there has to be any suggestions for the applicant to then reach out to other committees. And then at that point, come back again to us. And then we say we accept the proposal. And this would all happen before October. So that's a hustle, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a giant leap because most of these projects are going to be, I think this first time around, aren't going to be as complex as they might get later on.
Okay.
I don't think we'd have too many, and I think it's possible that given it's new thing for town, that there might be a few that just are, you know, that we don't get asked the right questions ahead of time and probably need to, you know, reject half of them just for, you know, being outside the scope.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have too many that lead to legitimate debate and discussion at the first round.
If it isn't
Okay.
Peepers at Carolyn's, it's trains at James's or something.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
I'm back inside.
Yeah.
I love it.
Peepers are winding down here.
Every night we sit here and listen to the train go through. It's great.
Yeah, buyers always ask about the train, and I say I like the train. You know, it's something neat. You know, for a boring, slow town. You know, something going on.
Well, and considering the fact that it always was at 3:30 in the afternoon, and that was about it. The fact that it runs through here, what, 8 o'clock most nights?
8:20, yeah.
You're right. It was always 3:30. It's a little different.
Seemed like it, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, a little more frequent, and it's just all over the place. And they won't give you the schedule, so you have no idea.
No, it's fun.
Yeah, I like it. Kids like it.
Right.
So I think that you're correct, Julie. It's a tight schedule, but I think that it's doable.
Okay.
I think
conservation and rec are in the same category, right? So this is the last meeting that Carolyn and Julie are going to be friends.
I know, right? I know, right? No, we're still going to be friends, but
yes.
It's all over now.
Yeah.
I know.
Gonna be fighting for dollars.
We're gonna be fighting for dollars. That's right.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's all right. We work
Yep.
together.
That's all right.
We also have a lot of money at play too. So I don't think we're necessarily gonna have everyone's imagination quite to the scope of trying to take it all for first year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could be wrong. Maybe they will just be so full of imagination that.
I'm pretty full of imagination.
I know. Julie.
But definitely won't take it all. Most.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
When's your committee meeting, Julie?
We are meeting, I believe, May 25th. Yeah, I have to confirm, but I'm almost positive that that's what Margaret gave me. But I'll message you, Tim, to let you know.
That's
for sure.
Tuesday?
It is a Tuesday. Yep.
What time?
I think it was 7:30.
Carolyn will cover for me at planning board, so.
There you go.
Oh, perfect. And I can change it too. Because we're flexible.
No, why?
So if you want to go to planning board, I don't want you to have to miss the planning board.
Hey, life is short.
Have to? I
right.
think I'm thinking of being able to get to.
Tim is integral. Oh my gosh.
Well, the point is that
Well, that's why I want him to explain it to my committee.
town meeting is over. Town meeting will be over. The planning board won't have anything to do on the 25th.
Yeah, well, that's out of all of the planning board meetings, that's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
To jump.
And I don't intend to be gone that long, so.
I'll even let him in when he does finally show up at the planning board meeting.
Thank you.
But let him wait a couple of minutes.
Well, sure.
That's great. That's great.
Perfect. Anything else?
I am good.
I'm good
Nice
too.
job.
Thank you very much.
I'm good.
Nice job.
Good.
Nice job. Thank you all. We have a motion to adjourn. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So moved.
Yes.
And a second?
Second.
All right.
Second.
All right.
Roll call for that. Carolyn?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
MJ?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Tim? Aye. We're fine. Thank you all very much. Take care.